Hello everybody, this is Patrick and Annie
Hi guys.
with Step by Stage Interiors, and we're here with you again today to continue our multiple part series on all things home staging. And today's topic is talking about how to get your listing more traffic. And there's a variety of types of traffic that we want to go over with you guys and explain what that means.
Yeah, and this is the packet. So if you sign up below, you guys can receive this, and there's tons of information in here. We're going to be doing this on a monthly basis. So this is our first series, and this is our second video of the first series. So we're going to go over a ton of information of the reasons why you should stage, and staging is for everybody. So like Pat said, there is a totally different ideas on traffic and how traffic gets to your listings. So there's, in-person traffic. Mm-hmm. Where you go to the listing live and you go through the property and you visit the home and you sit on the sofas and you can smell the house and see the colors. And then there's online traffic.
Yes, there is.
Okay. And so online traffic that's where I start. I don't know if that's where everybody else starts.
I start there too. Every time if I'm in the market for a house, or if I'm just looking around just to see what's out there and how people are living and what styles are out there now, I'm looking online. I'm looking at Zillow. I'm looking at Realtor.com. I'm looking at Redfin. There's a variety of places to start in the home buying experience, and that's when people...
I'm just a nosy person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even interested in buying a house, but I sometimes find myself at like 8 o'clock at night being bored with what's on TV, and I just start scrolling through, Realtor.com or Redfin and looking at properties and just being nosy. So, but sometimes that spikes somebody's interest, and then they call their realtor to get a live showing in person.
That's right. And that's where your verbal traffic comes in. We all know friends and family and coworkers and relatives that might be looking for a house. So in addition to online traffic and, in-person traffic, there's people talking to, all those different types of folks out there that are like, oh, Sally and James would be perfect for this house. It just came on the market. Let me tell them about that, and they can look it up online and kind of go that referral basis.
Like share it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like share that listing. Mm-hmm. So I shared a ton of listings just because we're always out and about in our community, and people are always talking, hey, if you come by a historical house with 4 bedrooms and a pool, let us know. Well, if it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm scrolling Zillow, if I see something, I might just share that with a friend that just asked me about a
exactly.
house.
And as home stagers and being in the real estate industry, working so closely with real estate agents every day, we're inundated with, houses that are getting ready to come on the market or that are on the market. So we're constantly sharing information all over the place with everybody.
Yeah. So shares are really cool. That definitely adds to the traffic. And the statistics on traffic is really cool too. So the NAR has a ton of statistics if you're looking at, just your certain areas, or national statistics too. You can really dig down and see what kind of, traffic takes place in your community per month, per, quarter, and also yearly. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at either listing your house and you're like, well, I don't know if this is a good time, you can look at the traffic patterns, right? Or if I'm not sure. Pat, why don't you just keep going with this?
So those that aren't familiar with NAR, or the acronym, because we have a lot of those that we'll be throwing at you guys over these series. NAR stands for the National Association of Realtors, which is pretty much like the go-to, ethical standard, bylaws and information that realtors use on a regular basis. And a lot of the statistics that we pull for our staging stats are from NAR, or from the Real Estate Staging Association, also known as RESA. So there's your second acronym for the day. And one of the things that, when we talk about listings and we talk about staging your property, obviously it's a great time, these last few years to sell your property. Property market and values are high, showings are plentiful. And then when people utilize staging services and staging companies such as ours, they tend to get a lot more traffic into the property, which of course leads to more online offers and in-person offers, and then obviously your house selling for the highest and best price point as you can. But the traffic is the most important, and that's what we want to focus on today. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to cut in here. But I know, just as Pat's talking about this, I'm just thinking about other businesses that get a lot of traffic because of how they're marketed.
Yes.
So let's just kind of like take a step back and kind of look at where we like to shop, where we like to eat, where we like to grocery shop, right? And kind of look at the traffic. Like, why do we like to shop there? Or why do we like to spend time in a certain place?
And I think for us and for every one of you watching, like everybody has to go to the grocery store like at least once a week, if not, twice a week or more. And, a lot of times you pick your grocery store based upon like the visual appeal of it, the pricing in there, how comfortable you feel shopping, the cleanliness of it, how organized it is.
Well, you look at like Aldi's versus a Publix. And even though, Aldi's may have the exact same produce and same meat, maybe even better, they do carry a lot of organic products and stuff. But the shopping experience may not be as pleasurable, right? And as Publix, what's the Publix saying? Isn't it like...
Oh, where shopping is a pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess Publix kind of has it marked a little bit of how they like their clientele to feel when they're in the store and shopping with them. And you just feel like it's better produce, even though it's probably coming from the same source.
Yeah, and it's how it's displayed, right? When you're walking up and down the produce aisles or just the regular aisles, so the meat packing section, it just looks so enticing and appealing, and it makes you want to buy more because it looks so pretty. And you're like, I have to have these things because obviously they're healthy and they're probably good for me, but I want to continue to shop there because I love the experience. And in home buying, it's the same. It's a buying experience. When prospective buyers are going to view a staged property, they're going to fall in love with it psychologically, emotionally connect to the space because it looks so aesthetically pleasing, and it's going to obviously lead to that offer generation to sell faster.
So what's that value then?
That's
it's kind of like shopping either at Target or Walmart. You have two different ideas. Like, I get really excited to shop at Target, but if I have to go to Walmart, I have to like brace myself.
Oh yeah.
So, if they're expecting a deal at Walmart, whereas at Target, you're like, I don't know, I like it, it's cute, it's worth it. You can talk yourself into something. But I guess that's kind of how the home industry is too. When you're buying a house, if you're going into a space that's either being lived in and is kind of messy, or there's some conditional issues, you're already feeling like your energy is tanking, and you're like, oh man, this is gonna take some money to fix these problems. Or you may just even feel like deflated just because the space doesn't look very good or very welcoming. So it's really important to make sure that the marketing of that product or that home is done so well that a buyer will walk in and just immediately fall in love. And then some of the conditional issues, they may even think, you know what, we can fix that. We can do this. But this is our dream home. This is why we want to invest in this property.
Right. And in the home staging in the real estate industry, first impressions are everything.
Yes.
Right? We're in
One
the
chance
business.
for first impression.
Yeah, we're in the business of making the most impactful first impression you can possibly get.
Yeah.
Because people are visual, right? Most people can't understand how to live in a space if it's cluttered or not cluttered, decluttered, overcluttered, everything's
over-personalized.
Over-personalized, or just, there's too much open space and they're just not realizing how to vision themselves there. So when we talk about like getting traffic and online traffic, people, obviously, like we talked about earlier, are going to start looking for listings online. It's not like it was 20 or 25 years ago when you'd hop in the car and you drive around neighborhoods trying to find signs and call the realtor's name on the sign to get a showing. It's all online. It's more convenient. It's faster today. So what do you want to look at when you're looking at a property, whether it's, a lived-in occupied or a vacant home?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I love to travel, and Pat and I are constantly looking on Airbnbs and HomeAway and trying to find places to stay. And he makes fun of me all the time because he'll stay anywhere. I mean, he's a man of it. If there's a bed and a fridge and a TV,
I am not.
He's good. I, on the other hand, if it is not cute and welcoming and fun feeling, I'm like, no, I can't stay there for a week. I don't want to spend money there. Like, I'll scroll through Airbnb like all night before I find maybe one that I might stay at.
Yeah, and she will scroll. She will literally scroll for like 2 or 3 hours, going through like 500 Airbnbs in like a place we're interested in visiting, and she'll finally land on one that just looks so meticulously designed and presented so well. And flipping that back again.
And I'll spend money to do that, which drives him nuts too, because he's like, well, there's another house that offers the exact same thing and it's, 30% less. I don't care. It's the experience. I want that experience. If I'm spending money on something, I would just want that feeling. I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel taken care of. I want to feel like where I'm staying is clean and inviting. And I can just like de-stress. And I think that's what a home is too. It's like you go home and you want to de-stress. You don't want to come into a space and feel like, oh wow, now my work begins again after a hard day's worth of work. So I kind of like that analogy of like the Airbnbs and like Zillow, even though you're only staying somewhere for maybe a couple of days versus a couple years, is kind of the same concept. You just really want to envision that space.
And I can attest to Annie scrolling through the Airbnbs, and she will scroll through like 20, 30 photos on Airbnb that she really likes because she wants to see everything.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But if it doesn't look appealing or it's just thrown together, or if there's not professional photography done there, like she'll scroll through the first 2 pages and she's gone.
Done.
Like 2, 3 photos and she's out. And
there's a slipcover on that sofa, I'm done, right?
I mean,
like, what's underneath that?
Everybody has their own style and everybody's looking for something different. But most people have a pretty generic knowledge on, what looks really nice and what looks functional and appealing to why they would want to stay in a VRBO or an Airbnb, or why they would want to choose a house to buy if they're looking at it online. So with traffic, kind of getting back to the topic, when a home is staged, people will tend to scroll through up to 20 photos on MLS or any of the websites that I mentioned before, when a house is professionally staged, because they want to see the rest of the look because it just looks so nice, which generates that traffic to make them pick up the phone, to call their buyer's agent, or if they're calling the listing agent from the website and getting that actual in-person showing. And in addition to traffic, like virtually and online, in person, one of the NAR statistics and the Real Estate Staging Association statistics
this is huge, guys.
Yeah, people will tend to stay in staged houses up to 5 times longer than unstaged homes. So if you're going to go tour an unstaged home and you're in there for 5 minutes and you're in and out, what kind of lasting impression did that home leave with you? Why did you want to purchase that house if you're in and out so fast? Versus if it's staged, people will stay longer. They'll walk through room by room to see everything, experience the property.
And we want them to sit on our furniture and kind of pretend at that moment that that is their home, that they can actually envision themselves living there and, having family dinners at the dining table, or if they're in the living room, like, having some game nights or some like really cool movie nights, maybe with their family, and really start absorbing the space and understanding how their life fits into that home. And I think it's also interesting, maybe digressing a little bit into another topic, which I'm not going to talk about a lot, but if a house is staged versus virtual stage, is when they go into the property, and if it's virtually staged, again, they're going to stay in that property for maybe 5 to 7 minutes and they're out because, number one, it looks really different online. And then they feel like it's almost like a bait and switch, right?
Maybe like you were duped in a way.
But there's nowhere for them to sit or get comfortable or understand the space when they're there. So the energy just tanks. So that's why the actual staging is so important, is because we really want people to start sitting there and feeling like this is their home.
That's right. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from our agents that we've worked with for years on, what people talk about when they're going through and they're in a staged home. They're sitting on the couches or at the dining tables or out there on the patio furniture, and they're talking about financing. They're talking about how they can find, a way to, make sure that they can get this house before anybody else does. So it allows them to a place to conversate and talk about, turning that sale into fruition versus talking about that later and then maybe forgetting about what you really liked about that house because you can remember.
Again, traffic. A lot of people go and see 3, 4, 5, 6 houses on a weekend, and how do they differentiate one from another? Because spaces get kind of bundled up, and you're like, oh wait, I thought that house had 3 bathrooms, or I thought this house had a downstairs suite. And so staged homes kind of stand out in their mind as well. And so if they are going to see 2 or 3 houses, they remember the staged home a little bit more just because it's connecting all the spaces.
And following up what Annie said, what is the competitive marketing advantage that your property has versus the 4 or 5 other houses in a 3-mile radius or less that is going to gravitate buyers to your property? So it's an aesthetically pleasing home. It's a home that showcases well online and in person, which is why staging has become so popular over the last 5 to 10 years and why it's so widely used now versus maybe 20 years ago when people were just finding out about it. It was in your major metropolitan cities. And maybe a lot of misconceptions were staging is something that I can't afford, so it's not for me. But that's so untrue because, we've staged for so many people over the years, thousands of houses. It's in everybody's budget and everybody deserves that traffic no matter the size of it.
Okay. So Pat gets real passionate.
I do. I have to tell people so they can do better.
I know. But I do want to tell you a quick story. So we staged a house right across the street from our personal house. And it was a really cute house. And but it was kind of cool that we got to see what happens after we get done staging a house. So we staged it. It went live the next day. There was a row of cars, literally.
I remember that.
that were lined up to go see this house. And I think there was like 10 cars that went down the entire block. And people were standing outside of their cars waiting. I mean, they're almost getting aggressive, like they wanted to see it next. But we hear that all the time from like buyer's agents or our listing agents saying, oh my gosh, we had 12 showings, in 3 hours. And it was just like one after another. And it was just neat to kind of see that. But it, again, drives that traffic immediately day one when you list your house. People are like eager to get on it and look at it because they know it looks so good. They have to get out there immediately and put their offers in.
That's right. And I want to elaborate off of Annie's traffic point, because a lot of our stories that we share with you guys are personal experiences and feedback from our agents and from our sellers that actually see everything that's happening during the showings. And even though we have a great market for selling homes now, it's definitely a seller's market in today's market.
But we've been doing this 10 years, and so it wasn't always a seller's market.
Right.
I started when it was a buyer's market right after the recession. A totally different game, but staging again was flooded with listings, right? So it was probably even more important that it was staged because buyers had a lot of options out there. Yeah, and keep going. I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of our feedback from agents are if the house was unstaged or lived in, but wasn't, maybe occupied staged or, showcased better from a stager's perspective, from the professional opinion, they were getting a couple offers, which is fantastic. Any offer is a great offer. But the caveat to that from our feedback from, again, real agents and homeowners, instead of maybe one or two offers, a lot of times the stage properties were getting 5, 10, 15, 20 showings, 10 offers, most of them for over asking price, getting into tons of bidding wars. So when you increase that traffic, you increase the opportunity for your bottom line and what you can close at the closing table for maximum price point. And that's another reason why staging becomes so popular, because it works so well.
This is a great investment, right? Mm-hmm. So, and we're not going to go kind of into that because that's going to be for the next slide that we're going to talk about is the offers. So let's just get into more of the prospective buyers and why they stay longer. We kind of dived into that just a little bit, but I kind of just want to go back into that just to talk about more of that psychological connection and what we've heard just through some of our reviews and feedbacks and stuff. So if you want to give like a personal story about that?
Which one do you want me to choose from? Why don't you do
I don't know.
To start with?
Why don't you do your most favorite?
My most favorite?
I'm going to put Pat on the spot because he sees a lot of the behind the scenes with doing like the scheduling and doing more of the getting the houses on the books to destage. So he's talking to the clients more and stuff. So he has a lot of more personal stories with the clients than I do at the end of the transaction. So,
here's a great story. So we're in Central Florida. We staged a house a few months back that was located in Plant City, and it was your typical, basic house.
Oh, I like this story.
It was probably, like a 3-2. The homeowners had just moved out, and obviously they had brought us in. A realtor had brought us in to do a staging consultation on that property. And in this house, part of our job as professional stagers is we're 100% transparent on our consultation with all of our clients. And what I mean by that is if we see some things that are conditional or aesthetic-wise that may need a little bit of elbow grease to be able to improve so they can get top dollar and add value like we talk about to that property, we'll suggest that. This was a case where there's a gentleman who had a young son, and he was moving from the same city from one location to another. And there were some things that we recommended, some different wall colors, because this is a house when you walked in, just kind of imagine it had like a maroon, magenta dining room. It had some green, it had yellow, it had red, and those are a lot of primary colors scattered throughout the house. So it was very, like, almost tinging to the eye. It was aggressive. So it just kind of made you feel a little awkward when you walked into it.
Just a little too personal.
Yeah, a little too personal. So we talked about paint colors, and a couple different light fixture packages and some upgrades to some fans that, unfortunately for this client, he was able to do. And he took those suggestions, he made them happen in just a few days with his contractors and some of the work he did himself. So this was a house that was then listed by an agent. From what I understand, this house had 23 showings in 72 hours, and it eventually sold for $50,000 over asking price. They had listed for $400,000, and it ended up selling for $450,000. And the funny thing about that story is, he didn't want to change any of the colors.
Yeah,
he kind of didn't want to change the colors.
He kind of had a lot of pushback.
We kind of had to work with him a little bit and just kind of talk to him about, why this was such a great idea, how it was going to add value to that property. And, everybody is not as easily influenced as others, but we were just determined to say, listen, you just got to trust us. as the experts coming in, and if you do this, I promise you, you will get maximum return on investment for it. And he eventually, gave in and let us do it, and he couldn't have been happier afterwards. And he was in and out of that house within like a 30-day total period from listing to closing. And it was an awesome story, and I love that. But I want to share one more add-on to that story. Hundreds of realtors we partner with over the years. And every once in a while, we'll hear from agents that we know or we don't know that, it went so far over asking price because it was listed too low or it was listed well under asking price.
A lot of people say that.
And, we pride ourselves with us in our business of working with the cream of the crop agents that are passionate, that have a lot of experience, that do their due diligence, that look at comps, and they market their houses accordingly.
A lot of times they're even above the comp prices is how they're marketing.
So it's not the case all the time where just because people get a ton of offers or it sells for so much over asking price that it was listed too low, not at all. That hardly ever happens.
They actually we have a lot of agents that will look at the property after it's staged and then they tell their sellers what they think that they can list it for. So, and a lot of times it goes up like $10,000 or $15,000 of what they were thinking about. Listing it for, and then it'll go up even more as the offers come in. And then a lot of our agents are always like, they hold their breath and be like, oh my gosh, I hope it appraises because it's way over what the comps are saying.
They freak out a little bit.
But that's the other thing that we should talk about in upcoming videos. But appraisers appraise it higher too because they see it as a well-maintained house and beautiful. And same with home inspectors. They also give it more of a clean bill of health, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So it kind of just works for the whole industry, just beautifying your house for the next person.
What's the story that you want to share?
Oh, man. Well, we staged one last year that really sticks out to me. And this house was in a trust, and the siblings were selling this house. You remember this one? And it was, again, I think this one was in Plant City.
Was it a huge one?
Yes.
That was in Winter Haven, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it was Winter Haven.
No.
Unless you're talking about a different trust. We had 2 trusts.
We've had a lot of trusts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. He's going to know which story because I want to put names out there.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so this house was a little... We'll see if we can find some pictures and we'll put them on here too for you. There was carpet everywhere. There was wallpaper. It just looked like a grandma lived in the house, which nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to get maximum dollars, and it was a beautiful house. It was a family home.
This is the one that needed the kitchen remodel. It needed the countertops.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went in there, we spoke with the siblings, and we suggested paint, lighting, and then new countertops for the kitchen because there used to be pink. I think it was pink or green. It might have been green.
I think it was both.
Okay, it was either pink or green countertops.
Yeah, it was.
And it was like laminate countertops. And so we suggested to go ahead and replace that with granite, and then put new flooring in and replace the carpet with like a wood plank tile, or not tile, wood. They did everything. I mean, they didn't even hesitate. They said, yeah, we know. Let's do this. They put $25,000 into it, doing all the changes that we asked them to do. The house went on the market after we staged it. And I can't remember the price, but I want to say it was like $489. And then it closed for like $549. It went over $100,000 over asking price. So they got $75,000 extra just by doing a little bit of work.
It's also important to share in this example, not everybody out there has thousands of dollars to do conditional repairs to upgrade their house. So there's so many examples where there was nothing involved to upgrade their house. They simply, chose to stage, and they ended up getting numerous asking price for top dollar. But sometimes people realize that this house needs a lot of work, and they're prepared to make some type of an investment, but maybe they just don't know where to spend that money, where they can call in an expert who's been in design, who has training in the design field and staging, and they can tell them where to best spend their hard-earned dollars to make an upgrade to that property that, again, adds value to that house before it gets staged. So this is a really
we'll
good
put the
example.
before and afters in here so you can kind of see the transformation that took place and understand why they felt like it was worth investing a little bit of money to get a
That's
great
right.
return.
That's right.
And it worked for them, but it was an amazing story. And
Yeah.
it was really cool working with all the siblings on that too. And
And it was a great family. They were so sweet.
And that was their parents' house, and they wanted a really good family to move in there and cherish it and love it just like their parents did. And so it was just a really cool win-win situation for everybody. And that's why we're in this business, is that we just love to see what happens to properties like once they're sold.
Yes,
and
that's really cool.
and like see new lives being made in these houses, and for the sellers to move on to the next chapter. And it's just, we're part of all that, and it just makes us feel like we have a purpose that's pretty great in our community. So
it is nice. It's nice to feel like you can provide somebody with something that, you know, helps them achieve a goal.
yeah.
Whether that goal is in a home sale in our case, or achieving a goal, whether it's in finances or in your personal life, or whether it's, you know, being more healthy. You know, there's experts all across the world in their trades and their fields. And, you know, we always say, you know, every time we're going to hire somebody, we hire an expert. You know, we know that hiring an expert makes a huge difference. And in this case, hiring an expert or hiring an expert agent can lead to more traffic to your property, which can help you sell it for more and faster in the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about marketing, guys. So just remember, staging equals marketing. Okay. And it's your realtor's best marketing advantage to get the most traffic out to your house. Okay. So another thing that drives traffic out is great photography.
Yes, for sure.
So, your photos will say everything about your listing, right? And most realtors are using professional photography, which is awesome. I mean, I know all of our realtors use professional photography, and so do Pat and I in our business. We always get every single one of our stagings professional photographed. But, you know, if you don't take the time to do professional photos and you just say, you know, it's a hot market, let's just snap some pictures, put it on MLS and see what happens. I mean, why roll the dice and see if it's going to sell for asking or a little lower than asking?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not good enough in our books.
Yeah,
like we want people to fall in love.
What are you hoping to attract? Like, this is what I always say. And to be completely honest, you know, you've got different tiers of real estate agents. If you're using an agent, unless you're selling it, you know, for sale by owner, you have amazing agents, you have great agents, you have good ones, fair ones, and then you have some of the ones that maybe, you know, just miss the mark or just don't do enough for their clients. And a lot of times when Andy and I are looking online at houses for sale, we're looking at how it's presented. You know, I see so often where the bedroom has clothes all over the place and there's hampers left open and the bed's like half made.
So sloppy. Like the cupboards are just...
You've got kids' toys in the living room, like all over the playroom. There's dishes in the sink. I mean, it's just dusty. Like you can see, you know, how unprepared I'd say that house is ready to list. And to Annie's point, you can roll your dice in the real estate casino and, you know, hope to hit the jackpot, but sometimes that doesn't work. And if you're not getting, you know, the best possible service you can to showcase your house in the best light with professional photography, and whether you're living in the home or it's a vacant home, you know, showcasing its best, you know, that's the best way to do it. And I'll add on to this, and then I'll let you jump in on what you like to talk about. You know,
he likes to talk.
Depending on where you're coming from or where you're watching this video, there are stagers in your community that have different types of education levels, skill sets, design background, and experience. And there's also stagers that focus solely on occupied homes where people are living in it, and other stagers that simply do nothing but vacants or just written consultations. So do your due diligence when you're looking into finding, you know, like a great realtor or a great staging company.
Or a great photographer.
You know, their credentials, their websites, their reviews from, you know, other people that were, you know, in the same boat as you were, and find out where I can best spend my time and effort on the people that I want to hire and work together and collaborate with me on my team.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it, most people sell their house like every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And so the market changes yearly. Like if I was still doing business how I did business 5 years ago, I'd probably be laughed out of town, right? So you have to almost educate yourself right before you get ready to list your house, just to make sure that you have everything that you can possibly get marketing wise to make sure that your house stands apart from the competition. And so, you know, photography, staging, and really good marketing from your realtor. Like ask a realtor, what kind of marketing do you do for my listing? See what they say, see what their package is. Yeah. And, you know, if they say, oh yeah, I'm just going to come in and do photos right before listing, I'd probably get another agent out there to see what they do, because I don't think that that's really up to speed in today's market, no matter where you live in the United States or across the country or the world, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, most people are doing professional photos.
Yeah. And Annie will say, you know, the way you live in your home versus the way you sell your home
house.
is completely different. You know, it's completely different. It's like, here's a great story. I love this. How often, and both of us are just as guilty, when you have company come over, a family, do you clean your house top to bottom so it's in, you know, the best shape it can be? Because you want it to be presentable to your guests.
Yeah.
Versus when you know somebody isn't coming over for a week, you're just like, man, this house is like kind of messed up. We need to fix this and clean and organize and put this stuff away. You know, that's kind of how it is when you're getting ready to list your property. You know, your house is basically, you know, it's going back out again on its first date, right? You know, maybe your house is, you know, a little nervous about how to get ready to go back out on the market. What can I do to showcase myself best for my potential suitors that are going to come in here and want to purchase this?
Yeah.
And if you're going to showcase it frumpy and sloppy and messy and dirty and stuff all over the place versus tailored and more aesthetically pleasing and put together, you know, what do you think that's going to lead to when it comes to time people make offers? So this is why we do what we do, and we talk about what we talk about every day. And we're in business for one reason. For us at Step by Stage, we just want to help everybody get the most bang for their buck they can and have like a sublime and a perfect experience with like a vendor. You know, we've had a lot of experiences where you hire somebody and they do an amazing job, or we've had some experiences where you hire them and you couldn't get a hold of them and you cannot reach them. Everything gets delayed. So we do not want to be that company. We want it to be done right the first time, every time.
But buying and selling is so exciting.
It is exciting.
I mean, it's one of like the, you know, things that you remember most about your life. Like, oh, that was our first home, or oh, this is our family home now, or this is going to be our retirement home. I mean, it's really like, you know, you're stepping stones throughout your life. And so we just really want everybody to have a great experience. And most amazing agents out there also want you to have that amazing experience with them too. They really want to guide you through the process and make sure that it's as least stressful as possible. And that's how we are too at Step by Stage. We really want you guys just to enjoy the experience. I know it's going to be a little snaggly sometimes, but if you can enjoy the experience and have the experts help you along the way, like, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's all about a good experience and a great transaction.
Yeah.
And then hopefully what you guys were able to take away from today's session about traffic and the different types of traffic and how it can be utilized really resonates with you, and you get a couple great takeaways from it and some good questions and things to ask is if you happen to be getting ready to list your market, now to ask of an agent or to ask of a stager to make sure that you get you know, a quick sale and top dollar at the closing table for your property.
We would love to hear if you guys have any questions. We'd love to have some feedback, maybe do like another video on maybe some feedback. Tell us your stories. If you had a really cool selling experience with great traffic, let us know. I mean, we love to hear those success stories out there, whether you're a realtor or you're a homeowner. We want to hear from you.
We do.
So,
thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode, and we can't wait to come up and back to you with our next topic.
all right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. See ya.